Tonight on The Buzz, we start with John Putch. John is described as an independent film maverick because one of his first feature films landed at the 1999 Sundance Film Festival. In his spare time, he directs programs like Scrubs, Cougar Town, My Name is Earl, as well as dozens of television movies and miniseries. Tonight, John shares his thoughts on the secrets of independent filmmaking. Then Tom Inglesby is the editor of Markee 2.0 magazine and recently attended the Creative Storage Conference in Culver City. Tonight, he shares his thoughts on the future of storage for filmmakers. Finally, Kristen Nedopak is the creator of the Geekie Awards, as well as the host of her own YouTube channel. Tonight, she explains why geeks rule the world at Comic-Con. All this plus Tech Talk. The Buzz starts now.
Tonight's Digital Production Buzz is brought to you by Otherworld Computing at MacSales.com and by Advantage Video Systems at AdvantageVideoSystems.com.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
And welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for creative content producers covering media production, post-production, marketing, and distribution around the world. Randy Altman has the night off, but Mike Horton and I are still here. Welcome, Mike. Good to see you back.
Hi, Larry.
How was San Jose?
It was good. It was actually really good. I mean, I was a little bit worried about it, but it was good. A little bit worried about it.
You are
I
always...
always come in here every week. And I go, Larry's my psychologist. I was just ranting and raving, but it was actually very, very good. I mean, it was good to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen before, and it was all about Final Cut Pro 10, and it was a good couple hundred, 250 people.
Well, I know that you had Randy Ubelos there talking
Yes.
about some of the filmmaking ideas that he's had, but who else was on the agenda, and what was the highlight to you?
Well, that Super Meetup was actually kind of a separate event than the Final Cut Pro 10 Conference Summit. But we had Blackmagic, we had Adobe, we had Otherworld Computing, and we had Canaan Flowers, but the whole idea was learning more about Final Cut Pro 10 and networking. It was a networking event, and a lot of people. I didn't hear any lousy things about it, so it was a good thing. So, it's over. It's over, Larry. It's done.
What's the next one?
Amsterdam.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Which you have been a part of.
Yes, and I remember that I gave a speech there one very short night.
Yes, you came in, you flew in, gave a speech, flew out.
You wouldn't let me go on the show floor.
No, you could have stayed there for a few days. I would have showed you Amsterdam, but no,
my badge
flew
away.
In, flew
I
out,
couldn't
gave a
get
speech.
on. I wanted to see the show, and you said no. I wasn't old
Took
enough.
you to London, flew in, gave a speech, flew out.
Unbelievable.
That's what Larry does.
All I
he
want
flies
to do,
in, gives a speech,
I
flies
just
out.
want to go to the show and enjoy talking to the exhibit, and you wouldn't let me.
You really?
No, I was so devastated. It just broke my heart.
I shall write that note
Okay,
down.
please take a note because it's important. I want
It's
to
done.
see the show.
It's there.
I just realized
fake
that
Okay.
our first guest is John Putch.
Yes.
And you've known him for a while.
I've known John Putch since the 1940s.
Really?
Yes.
When you were both child actors.
Yes, we were both child actors. Yes. John is in studio, by the way. Do you know that?
It's going to be fun. I've been looking forward to chatting with him for a while. We've got, it's such a cool show that we've got planned for you, but just a couple of notes that we've got, for those of you that aren't able to watch the live show, we've got Facebook and we've got Twitter. You can visit with us at digitalproductionbuzz.com on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at DPBuzz. But what I want to emphasize is if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com, this gives you an inside look at both the show and the industry, and it's under the editorship of Eileen Kim, and she is doing an amazing job in terms of being able to put information that you just can't find anywhere else, not only about the show, but also about other resources that are available to you on the web and articles that you need to read, even if you haven't had a chance to read them yet. The newsletter comes out every Friday afternoon, totally free, and it's to people that subscribe at the digitalproductionbuzz.com website. By the way, we have got such a great group of guests. That's going to start with John Putch. Mike and I will be back with John right after this. When you're working with media, one thing is essential. Your computer needs peak performance. However, when it comes to upgrading your Mac, there are so many different options to choose from that the process can be confusing. That's why Otherworld Computing carries the best upgrades that lets your computer performance and storage grow as your needs grow. Since 1988, OWC has become one of the most trusted names in quality hardware and comprehensive support to the worldwide computer industry. With an extensive online catalog of Mac, iPhone, and iPad enhancement products, as well as a dedicated team of knowledgeable experts providing first-rate tech support, OWC has everything you need to take your current system to the next level. Whether you need to maximize your system's memory, add blazing speed, or enhance reliability, look no further than the friendly experts at OWC. Learn more by visiting macsales.com today. That's macsales.com. John Putch is often referred to as an independent film maverick because one of his first indie efforts, Valerie Flake, landed him at the 1999 Sundance Film Festival. His other notable films include the indie cult favorites Bachelor Man, Mojave Phone Booth, which just totally dropped jaws, and the Route 30 trilogy film. His television directing, which he does in his spare time, includes just a few minor shows like Family Tools, The Goodwin Games, The Middle, Body of Proof, Scrubs, Cougar Town, My Name is Earl, Ugly Betty, Grounded for Life, Outsourced, and more television movies and miniseries than I can count. Welcome, John. Is there a series you have not directed?
Oh, yes.
Besides Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Dream job.
Seriously?
I would love to do that.
Really?
Yes.
Are you a fan then?
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. I know.
Actually, I've never seen an episode. Never seen an episode.
One day you'll watch them and you'll enjoy.
You know, I've seen all the women who have been on the show on those talk shows, and they have some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life on those talk shows. So
Don't recognize them on the show, though. They're
apparently not.
Just costume. But I would, yes, there are many shows that I haven't, but thank you for rattling off the last 15 years.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
We've worked together without meeting for a long time. I have to start by saying, which is not totally true, but I have to say that you have provided more footage for my training. The more USC students have worked with your Trilogy 2 footage than I can count.
Right on.
In terms of the scene of the two guys in the winter farm and the two women reconciling in the living room has been such an exercise in how to edit film for so many people. I just have the world's most fun time bragging about you, saying this is such a cool scene. Watch how this was shot. So having you here to chat is a highlight. So
How'd that happen?
Thank you. But wait, don't let me remind people that I was your student 100 years ago at the top floor of Creative Computer in Santa Monica. I was a Final Cut Pro student and a DVD studio.
Wasn't that where
student.
like Mac Mall was or something like that, or PC
Mac
Mall?
Mall, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mac
Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the classes. The classes at Mac Mall were not academic.
You actually taught at Mac Mall?
He taught at Mac Mall, and
Is
not
that
only
right?
he got laughs.
Well, of course, he's a funny guy.
Laughs the whole way through, all day long. It was brilliant.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
I'll be
It was
darned.
very cool stuff.
Well, I'm really
See,
impressed,
now
Larry.
I've graduated up to small schools like USC and teach there, which is actually half our control room has gone to USC. So we've got
went
to
there.
treat the school with
Did you go to
respect.
USC? Is that right?
Yeah. Rah, rah. Go Trojans, man.
Well, seriously, did you do the whole 4-year program?
No,
or?
no.
I didn't think
1 year
so.
dropout.
Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
1 year dropout, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
What got you started in filmmaking?
My dad, he gave me a Super 8 camera when I was about, 10. And he said, here, go out and do, entertain me, with some movies for our dinner parties. And that's basically what it was. And I did. I just went out and started shooting and editing, and I took a film class in a grade school, very forward grade school out here. Only in California would you see a
That would be-
filmmaking
that would be
class
like- that
to
would
a
be
fifth
like
grader.
Crossroads or something like that.
Well, it was the school before Crossroads. It was called St. Augustine by the Sea, which was where you went before you went to Crossroads.
Wow.
So so that's where I caught the bug, because he used to make films for us all the time and put us in them, and then we'd watch them as entertainment.
Well, you have a strong lineage in entertainment and filmmaking, which you've never kept a secret. But who are your parents?
My father, both gone now, but my father was a theater director. He was an artistic director of the Totem Pole Playhouse, which was a summer stock theater in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And my mother was the late, great Jean Stapleton, who appeared as Edith Bunker on a show called All in the Family.
Were you anywhere living at home when she was on that series?
Yes, we had to move to California from Pennsylvania when she got the show. And then we became bi-coastal. In the summer, we were summer theater people, and we performed and worked at my dad's theater. And in the wintertime, we were in school here, and Mom was doing the show.
Do you believe that, like I believe, and you have to say yes to this, that the
Yes.
best film directors come from the theater?
Yes, or actors. Prior
Well, certainly
to being-
actors, but
yeah,
but even directors. I think the best film directors come from the theater.
I'm
And I
yeah.
can name you a list of them from forever.
I
from
don't
Orson
disagree.
Welles to Mike
Why would
Nichols
you
to
say
Arthur
that, Mike?
Penn.
Back that up. Why? Why?
Orson Welles,
Not
Arthur
who.
Penn,
Why?
Mike.
Why? Why?
Because I think they not only do they have a way of talking to actors that is unlike any film director, but I think their blocking, their staging, and their composition with the camera is much better than guys who just go to film school.
What do you think, John?
I'd say yes sometimes, and other times there's plenty of good
And I also
directors
think
that
actors
didn't
make
come from
great
theater.
directors.
I agree with that, because when I
actors
was
make
an
them.
actor, and anytime I worked for a former actor turned director, I happened to like everything about that show that I did, or I actually enjoyed the performance they got from me. Whereas other times, it was not the same.
But you name me your favorite director, and most likely they came from the theater.
Well, thinking of a favorite director brings me to the gentleman sitting on the far side of the table. How is that? That was a smooth blend. I mean, you're directing at a level that most of us only dream about in terms of the shows that you do. What was it? How did you get your first network gig?
It's who you know, I got to tell you, because it took me 10 years to break TV. And prior to that, I was making low-budget B movies for a B movie house over in Sherman Oaks. And it took a friend of the family who was in a position to say, let's give John Putch a shot on this show called Grounded for Life. And that was how it happened. And then you just don't screw it up. Once you get in there, make sure they want you back, and then you're off to the races. And I still have to do that every new place I go.
You know, back in the days when I was an actor, they would always have somebody following the director who was trying to get into the TV business. Were you able to do that, or were you just thrust into the whole?
No, I had to do that. There's this thing that they'd recommend you do, and that's called shadowing.
Yeah.
And they tell you to go and follow some director, and people think that that's a way into getting the job, and it never works that way. It's really just a way to get on a set if you've never been on there and watch what happens, be a sponge.
Yeah, it's like actors
when
doing extra work.
Yeah, when I hear people say, "Hey, you should observe," I tell them, they ask me what should they observe on. I go, you will not get a job from that company. They're just being nice to you and letting you come visit.
But can you use it as a learning experience?
Oh, yeah.
Can you learn how to behave on set and how to run a set that way?
Yeah, if you stand in the right places and listen, for sure. I mean, all of my experience as a filmmaker and director came from watching my father work with actors in the theater and his staging, which I take with me all the time now, and being an actor in TV for so many years. I never left the set. I just hung out with the crew and watched everything in between the shooting, and you learn everything at that point. So
well, you directing. I mean, there's always better stuff in feature films and stuff, but the stuff you're directing is A-level stuff. Why the interest in independent films?
Well, it's the only place I can go where I control everything and I can do what I want. And while television and movies occasionally will, afford me great attention and money sometimes, I don't have the control. They're not. Yeah. I'm not really the author of the film. So my movies are a direct response to that. In fact, a rebellion. And I do them because they make me happy and they make me feel better and they get me through my job, the rest of my job.
Well, that gets, I think, to a really important point. You've got a philosophy in terms of how often or how long you shoot and how you run a set when you're doing an independent film. Share some of that, because a lot of people feel that you got to stand on a soapbox and scream at people to get anything done.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No, it's not. And my whole motto with these movies, these micro budgets, is the less professional, the more fun. And if everyone just drops, their attitude and tries to do something together, the experience ends up being more important than the outcome. And I prep them all, believe me, ahead of time. And you have to be really careful who you invite to this type of thinking, because it's almost, people think it's crazy. But you can make a really good movie and have a really nice time, just like I did in summer theater all those years, if you're generous and you're a host, not a boss. And that's kind of what it is.
That's a cool quote that I've read, that you've always said, I'd rather be the host rather than the boss. Yeah. Because when you're in charge of people who are not getting paid well, they're getting paid. What's the most important part of that morale part of making the movie?
Well, you have to always appreciate everyone that's there. And just like I'm sure, you guys do the same in what you have going for you. But a lot of people don't appreciate the time people give you. No one cares about your movie at all. You're the only one that cares about it. No one cares. So you're the only one that cares. So therefore, everyone there is doing you a favor. So you gotta acknowledge that, and you gotta thank them for it and be aware of it. And that just sort of dictates everything. Because I'd rather not inconvenience somebody who's come to help me than get that dumb moment or shot that really no one will notice.
So there's a lot of thank you for doing my movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and buying them dinner and lunch and, and taking care of them.
But you said
really good craft service.
You said something that troubles me, I think, and that the less professional you are, the more successful. Yet to me, professional means trying to get a good product, trying to tell a good story, trying to have good craft and stitch it together well. And it sounds like you've got a different definition of professional than I do.
No, I said less professional, more fun. Meaning, don't walk around posturing like this is it's putting the fun back, I guess, in the profession.
In other words, enjoy what you do.
Enjoy what you're doing, and don't take it too seriously, because in the end, it's just a dumb movie, right? And it will entertain some people. It may touch people. It's whatever you want it to be. And you have to be secure in the notion that you're going to make something that's of quality, sounds good, looks good, good acting, good writing, hopefully, and good directing, and you will accomplish that. But if people who are very, over the top about how important the thing they're doing is, lose sight of, I think, the people involved. And I think if you're aware of the people involved and what you're doing, you somehow get a better movie.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with these micro budgets, you still got to make your days. You still got to your locations are only for so amount of time, and you got all these elements going against you, whether it be the weather or something else, and you got all that stress and all that. And sometimes it just is so hard to be fun.
Yeah, well, I set it up so it's fun. I make sure it's not a grind. And I'm super prepared.
Okay.
I'm beyond prepared and organized. And there's nothing to the minute I don't know.
And you're still able to allow collaboration.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's how do you allow collaboration? Because you've got a clear vision in your mind. How do you have the courage to listen to somebody else's opinion when they disagree with you and then accept that they've got a better idea than you do?
Well, they have to wave their hand and suggest it. If they don't start the dialogue, I'll never know. So, I haven't had a lot of. I'm very open in how I set stuff up. Everyone knows the script ahead of time. There's a lot of talk beforehand if there's questions, and by the time you get to the scene to shoot, I want to make people comfortable in how it's staged. Where they're coming from, where they're going, and how they feel in here. But if you cast the movie. I'm talking about actors now, obviously, not the crew. But if you cast the movie right, you pretty much have done your job 90% of the time, and then I just have to make sure I watch out for them. I watch out that they look good and sound good and are not, you know, and are not embarrassing.
And they know
themselves.
you've got their back.
And the crew, you know, in my movies, it's 3 other people. It's Keith Duggan, my DP. We've done so many films together. We just, you know, we have the same idea. And my sound man, and our camera assistant, Mike.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. And
So it's pretty much available light and.
No, we have 4 lights.
Okay.
Yeah, we allow 4 lights. I allow 4 lights.
Key Phil back and set. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Which gets me to your rules for a micro budget. How do you define a micro budget film?
For me, it's anything that's, say it's the price of an automobile, maybe. It could be a high-end automobile or it could be a low-end automobile.
Or it could be Mike's automobile. It wouldn't be enough to buy a watch.
That would not
Could
be
be
much.
a Honda Fit or an Explorer.
But I tell people, you know, I when I see rich people complaining, you know, that are directors or something, and they're complaining, I can't get a movie. I just want to go, don't buy a Tesla. Go use that money and make a film, and you'll have it. No one wants to do it.
So your budgets are for the films you do are less than what?
Less than 100. And listen, there are people that make them a lot less, as you know, and they can. I just happen to be spending that on these because I go to Pennsylvania to do them, and that pretty much eats up a lot of the budget. Like almost half goes to
Yeah,
lodging.
but you get deals on hotels.
Yes.
Well, why don't you do them in California?
It's not as much fun as
Not as much
Philadelphia.
fun. Don't like it. I'm tired of looking at the same, you know, skyline, and you know, it's. I don't know. I like the green and the country, and
Do you self-fund these?
yeah, oh yeah. I save my money and put it aside, and when I get enough to get something shot, I'll like go time to do something, and I'll block it off in the, you know, whatever month I can do it.
You got time for rehearsals?
Oh, no, right on set.
Right on set.
Yeah, right. You know, just like you would a TV show. Just come in, block the scene, rehearse it twice, shoot it.
Rehearse it twice and shoot. How many takes to get it right? Or till you're happy?
Try to do no more than 3. So
basically 5 shots.
yeah, well, we have 2 cameras, and we can get 2 angles at once, and like, you know, 2 or 3 camera positions, and you got the scene, depending how many people are in it. So, but the next movie I want to do less angles. I want to see if I can, you know, make it look a little more filmic and not as cutty.
Well, just as we're getting ready to talk about, it's The Father and the Bear, right? We're almost out of time, which means that we get to invite you back again to talk about. When do you plan to shoot The Father and the Bear?
Start shooting August 17th.
August 17th.
Seriously, that's a done deal.
Yes, I'm leaving on the
you've
3rd
casted,
with a
it's gonna
U-Haul
happen?
behind my car. Yeah, it's done. It's
Okay.
prepped. It's ready to go.
All right.
A U-Haul, you've expanded your grip equipment.
No, I don't like
a minivan.
No, I don't like to put it in my own car because it just thrashes it. So I get a tiny U-Haul, a 5x8. It's about the size of a van, and that's what we put everything in. And I drive it across country with everything.
And for people that want to know more, where can they go on the web to keep track of you?
Well, there's putchfilms.com, and then there's also thefatherandthebear.com. And on July 11th, I'm showing my Route 33 in Chambersburg for the last time.
Very cool. That's
When
Putch.
are you showing it in L.A.?
Will you hush?
It's
That's
over.
Putch Films, all one word. Putchfilms.com. John Putch himself, filmmaker. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, John.
Jeff Stansfield started Advantage Video Systems in 2001, providing solutions for broadcast equipment and system integration, digital asset management, direct attached storage, and much more. Advantage Video Systems can integrate all of your equipment wherever you might need in your studio, office, classroom, or data center, and they can extend their services into a global support package. Their designers, editors, and technicians will help you achieve your competitive and creative goals. As Jeff always says, they truly want to make your entire day perfect. Visit Advantage Video Systems online at AdvantageVideoSystems.com or call toll-free at 800-287-5095. Advantage Video Systems, putting creative technology to work for you. Tom Inglesby has been a writer and editor since 1979 and the editor of Markee 2.0 magazine since 2014. This bi-monthly digital publication focuses on film and video production, and Tom has the responsibility of choosing article topics, writing or commissioning articles, and photography for each issue. Hello, Tom. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
It is wonderful to have you with us. A little loud here in the studio, but definitely good to have you with us.
That was the guy in the booth problem.
Anyway, Tom, tell us about what Markee 2.0 magazine is.
Well, Markee is a 30-year-old publication that was started basically as a regional film and video production magazine for the Southeast and has grown to national prominence. Well, we like to think prominence anyway. It has grown to a national audience, and it has basically been, it's been a print magazine all its life, and now it's gone to digital. So we are trying to catch up with the rest of the film industry by being all digital these days.
Well, you went through a change in life around 2013, 2014. New owners took over, and did they redirect the magazine, or what happened at that point?
No, we went from Markee to Markee 2.0 because we added the digital aspect of it, website and e-blast newsletters, all those kinds of good things. We didn't change the direction of the magazine so much as we just changed the way we presented it. And we looked at possibly having more content focused on the digital revolution in filming. And filming, of course, is probably a misnomer these days, but production of movies, whether they're on television, TV shows, or whether they're feature films.
Tom, everything has changed from print to digital. How much has that, hurt you, for lack of a better word? I mean, do you miss holding the magazine in your hand?
Yeah, tactical stimulation. Yes, you like to have something that you can pick up and say, this is what I do, and look at everybody. Now you don't have to do that with an iPad. You can point to it and say, hey, I did this, and people say, oh, yeah, sure, everybody does it online these days, so we don't think of that as being a big deal. When you go to a trade show, for instance, to NAB, you want to have something to distribute. You want to have a print magazine that you can leave on somebody's desk. There's all kinds of value in having paper, but digital has the way things are going.
Yeah. Unfortunately, brings a tear to my eye.
Tom, you've been involved with writing and editing for a long time. What got you involved with Markee?
Well, I have a background in film going way back into the 60s, analog film. Remember those things?
Sure.
Rocketed film.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing educational and industrial films back in the 60s and 70s. And I was the sound guy for Encyclopedia Britannica Films and did recordings as well as films for them. So I had a little background, and when the editor of the magazine was looking for somebody to be a writer, I said, sure, I'll do it. And he said, okay, you can do it. So after about 3 months, the publisher said, look, the editor has got so many other things in the fire, why don't you take over? So I did, and that's how it happened. Right place, right time.
That is very cool. Recently, you had a chance...
You know how common that story is?
Oh, yeah. Very common. Just step in. I'm busy.
You just
step
in, take it over. Here you go. You got a new life.
I'm tired. Move on.
Yeah. Going back to my earlier days, in '79, I got into print magazines because I was a film producer at a defense contractor, and they said, gee, we need to get a magazine out for the military repair people on these jet engines. And I said, oh, I can do that. The next thing I knew, I was an editor. Couldn't spell editor without an O or a Z.
Tom, recently you attended the Creative Storage Conference, and Mike and I were chatting about that before the show started. Describe what that conference is.
Well, the Creative Storage Conference is, first of all, creative storage is sort of a thing you could drive a truck around and not be able to be sure what you're doing. But it revolves around storage for media as opposed to storage for files and the databases of all those people that don't have their information stolen. We have a great need in the film and video industry for storing all that digital data. And so this conference was basically formed to do a review for technology people, mostly, of how to do a better job in storage.
What were some of the highlights that you learned at the conference?
Well, we've been covering the storage beat for about 4 years in the magazine. We look at using things like the cloud, and I use air quotes on that one, for workflow and storage. We've looked at local storage, hard drives, and so forth, on-camera storage, all of that. So it was a pretty good thing to go to this conference and see what everybody else is looking at. And one of the things we found out was that, we were lucky to have on our panel, I was a moderator of a panel, we were lucky enough to have 3 very creative independent filmmakers, great credentials. Not only they were active producers and cameramen, operators, writers, everything they did on this thing. And they were very avid about their needs in storage. And they had people in the audience from both vendor community and from the IT community, if you will, in the media business, listening very quietly. They wanted to hear what the people in the field really needed. For instance, the digital revolution in filmmaking has created a number of storage problems that, the big guys don't pay much attention to. The IBMs of the world aren't interested in what the little guy on the field wants to do. So how do you handle the dailies, for instance? What do you do about file transfers and workflow and all the things that are required in the new digital age for filmmaking? What they talked about and what we found out about was there is a tremendous need for storage and active storage and fast storage and storage that can be accessed easily, indexed so you can find things when you need it. All that comes together with the need for having those dailies on the field, later on post-production, passing material back and forth. We just looked at, from the analog era, we looked at storage as being throw the film in a can and hope it's going to be there when you need it. Nowadays, it's a lot more difficult, a lot more expensive.
One of the things that I was struck by, because I attended that conference and actually chaired a panel in the morning, is there's a big difference between storage that's needed for production and post, where high speed, high capacity is critical, versus the storage that's needed for distribution and archiving, where it's an entirely different environment. And where Mike and I work is in production and post, where we're always looking for the largest storage capacity and the fastest speed. But that is not really the bulk of the market, as far as I can tell, is it?
Well, the camera operator has the little SSD, the solid-state drive in the camera. They're worried about whether they have enough memory to load up a scene. Then they worry about what they're going to do with it afterwards. These are the things that the big guys don't pay too much attention to. And it gets into a cost factor, too. Besides using speed and storage capacity, you have how much is it going to cost you? For an independent producer, when you hear $6,000 per terabyte for storage, and you look at 4K output, for instance, you're looking at maybe 10 gigabytes per minute in camera use, and you're running a feature film, you're having all that raw data, you're looking at a lot of money being spent on storage, and you wonder whether there are some protocols we can start using that are going to compress it better and store it better and save it. Also, we have to look at whether it's going to be accessible forever and ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big issue.
The filmmakers on our session, and there were 3, were pretty much in agreement that the storage companies, and that's the cloud and the local storage guys, the guys with the hard drives and so forth, need to start working with producers and crews to see what they really need in the real world. If you're going to be a media storage company, you have to deal with the media developers and producers. And one of the real demands that they have is that they need to have indexing. You can create a database, you can create a file format, you can store all the stuff, but you have to be able to access it. And if you can't get at it when you need it, if you can't go in there and depend on it being there when you want it, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good.
That's very true. One of the things that one of the people on my panel mentioned is in 1998, there was a 10 terabyte hard disk. You could get a 10 terabyte hard disk. It stood 8 feet tall, weighed 8,000 pounds, and it was $32,000 a terabyte.
Whoa.
And now we've got terabyte things we can just slip in our pocket for about $1.98.
Now you got to remember to take off your shoes, otherwise you step on your movie.
For Tom, for people that want to learn more about the magazine that you write for, where do they go on the web?
Well, we're at www.markeemagazine.com, and Markee is spelled, creatively, let's say, Markee. I hope our French-speaking people don't get mad at me for corrupting the language like that. But the MarkeeMagazine.com is where we're at.
Is the subscription free, or what does it cost?
Well, it's on the web, so it's free.
I had a chance to visit your website. It's a lovely website and some very nice articles. I want to congratulate you. Tom Inglesby is the editor of Markee 2.0 magazine at Markee, Markee, magazine.com. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
This is Tech Talk from the Digital Production Buzz.
This is FCP Effects, and they've got a variety of titles. Their website is fcpeffects.com. These are available at their website to support Final Cut Pro 10. It's $39. And what BPM 2 are 55 Final Cut effects which allow you to quickly sync video effects to music. And it's easy. You just simply drag and drop the desired effect onto the clip that you want to modify. So we want to animate a great blue heron. So let's see what that looks like. Here is, let's just turn these off for a second. Here's the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so what I have to do, the homework that I have to do to get this to work is to figure out roughly how many beats per minute that is. And it works out to about 120 beats per minute. You don't have to use a drum beat. I did because it makes it really, really easy to hear the beats, but you could use anything you want that's got some sort of rhythm associated with it. So now, here's our great blue heron. And even if you're being generous, you would say that he's not doing a whole lot. But this is a music video, and I want to have the great blue heron do a whole lot more than he's doing, so let's add an effect. We're going to go to the effects category, go down to My FCP Effects, because remember the name of the company is FCP Effects, and notice the category called BPM 2. So I'm going to find, from all these different categories, which are essentially Final Cut effects that have been repurposed for BPM, let's go find something called Flip or Flop. Let's do Flop. Wow. Does that bring tears to your eyes or what? He's just pointing in the other direction. Here we go. Watch this. We got a breakdancing great blue heron. How can you not love this? I have another shot here. Let's work in a different effect. Let's go again, My FCP Effects, and this time we'll go down to Kaleidoscope. Now, here we've got control over, say, the size of the angle of the kaleidoscope. We can play with that. We have the frequency controls. We've got noisiness controls. We've got offset angle controls. We can make this thing bigger or smaller. There we go. All right, so maybe we can get a bit carried away, but think about you're doing a music video for a performer that has no talent whatsoever, and you got to keep that fact hidden. This can make your life a lot easier to create effects that occur in time to the music to make it look like you spent weeks editing it, and you can tell the client that you did, but in point of fact, you can sync the audio to the video and do interesting visual effects with, it's called BPM, and it's from a company called FCP Effects.
This Tech Talk was shared from Larry Jordan's website at larryjordan.com.
Kristen Nedopak is the creator of the Geekie Awards that honors gaming, comics, and indie film content. She's also a host of her own YouTube channel and has recently won Best Host at the IWATV Awards. She's also on the Geekie panel at this year's San Diego ComicCon. Hello, Kristen. Welcome.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
We are talking to you. How can we not be doing well?
Well, that's good.
Kristen, what are the Geekie Awards? I have to figure that out first.
Oh, no. They told me that you were a nerd. I'm just kidding. I mean, is that true? I don't know. Are you into comic books at all, or
I am.
Fantasy movies?
Michael is a child at heart. So.
I am, but I can't get a ticket. Nobody can get a ticket. If you don't get a ticket within 4 minutes of the tickets being sold, you don't go to Comic-Con.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? I know. I got mine in about 60 seconds, speaking of that. It was tough.
Yeah, if you don't have your own panel, you don't get into Comic-Con. It's so tough.
But, Mike,
and today they announced, by the way, just today that the Comic-Con is staying in San Diego through 2018.
I think it would make a difference if you had a costume, though.
Yeah, well, even if you wear a costume, you don't get in.
No, you gotta be really high up on the celebrity food chain or paying somebody to get into Comic-Con.
Exactly. It's a tough show to get into.
It is. I'm actually going there next week. But to answer your question about the Geekie Awards, that's my show. It's not as crazy as Comic-Con. It's a 3-year show, and it's an award show for geeks. So you had mentioned it. It's a show celebrating independent creators in all these different industries, gaming, fashion, art, comics, you name it, we cover it. And also, it's a family reunion of sorts where all the geeks get to come together and celebrate. And this year, it's going to be a 2-day event. So we're going in the direction of something crazy like Comic-Con, but we're not a convention.
Is it just on the web, or is it a live attend event kind of thing?
No, it's actually it has been in the past, a live attended event. So everyone at the event has a great time, partying. They get to see everything in person while we shoot the broadcast, and then we live stream it internationally. And this year, we're going to be announcing a new venue in about a week, and just after Comic-Con, and we're announcing a venue that holds about 4,000 people instead of a few hundred. So it's definitely going to be a destination.
Wow, 4,000 people. And Mike, you were complaining about getting...
Maybe I can get into that.
Kristen,
hey, you just let me know. All you need to do is to be on my list.
Yeah. Now that I know you, I can just send you an email. Hopefully I can get in.
Have you announced the city this is going to be in?
It is going to be in Los Angeles. Last year it was in Hollywood. And this year it's going to be in Santa Monica. And then we're going to announce where it's going to be in a few weeks. So I can't say anything more, but it's definitely going to still be in the Los Angeles area.
And have you picked a date yet?
We are going to also be announcing that, but I will tell you it's going to be in mid-October.
Awesome.
Mid-October this year, somewhere in Santa Monica, at a place that holds 4,000 people. I think we can start to narrow it down pretty closely.
Uh-oh, you can't tell anybody.
Kristen, do you wear costumes?
I do. I don't wear them at Comic-Con because it's too crazy, but I have my own cosplay that I build. Usually I'm wearing something fantasy, like fairies or something along those lines. I have a unicorn costume that I do that's pretty cool.
Yeah, see, that's what
a unicorn costume. I can't see you.
I can see me as a unicorn, yeah.
Well, other people do superheroes. I'm a big fantasy person. I'm a big Brian Froud fairy person. So we all have our own thing that we love to do. But I usually make my costumes a lot more original and less, a certain character. So that was the one thing that I just love.
The one thing that I love about Comic-Con, and I've never actually been there, but I've talked to people who have gone there, and I have also read all the articles, seen all the YouTube videos, that everybody who goes to that show is happy. They are happy. It is though that this strangeness, this geekiness, this part of them that doesn't fit in with their lives, their normal lives, they come together at Comic-Con and they are happy, and I think it's a wonderful thing.
It is, and it's interesting because I'm in the Los Angeles area, and everyone I hang out with is a geek, and so it is actually part of their daily lives. They're making shows about geeks. We're all creators. I'm making my show, and so I think it is unfortunate if people are living somewhere where that's not accepted and they have to come Comic-Con, but I know that is the case for a lot of people. But we're growing. We're like just such a huge, huge audience in the world, and I think that we're opening everybody else up to how cool it is to be into some of this stuff.
You, as you say, you rule the world.
We do.
Kristen,
we do.
Kristen, why did you decide to create the Geekie Awards in the first place?
Well, like I said, I'm actually an independent creator myself, and so hold on a second. Somebody's going to go. I'm actually an independent creator myself, and so there was a point where a few years ago I had been submitting my work to festivals, and people weren't really looking at it seriously or taking it seriously, because it was geek or it was about video games. My YouTube channel is very much about video games. Now, however, that's not the case. We've got Twitch and everybody's video gaming. But at the time, I just looked around and I said, you know what? There is nothing out there for independent creators that are really making web series and doing art and doing fashion outside of these comic conventions and outside of these conventions and even something like Unique LA. And so I decided to make a show for geeks and for those independent creators, because there is nothing like that out there. We've got the Oscars, we've got the Emmys. You really have to be at a certain level to be on a broadcast award show. And so that's sort of what spawned the idea, is just looking around and saying, well, there's no award show for me. So I know there's not an award show for a huge chunk of people that are doing the same thing I'm doing. And so that's sort of how I created the show. And of course I need to make it geeky because that's my thing.
Well, one of the other things you do is you host your own YouTube channel.
I do. Kristen Nedopak, yeah.
What does it take to be a successful YouTube host?
Well, you are not just a host, number one. Most of the people on YouTube have to be producer, director, editor, host, on camera, off camera. They're doing everything. I think very few people on YouTube are people that haven't gotten to a certain point yet. If they've got billions of followers, they might be able to hire people. But usually, to be successful, you really have to be able to do it all yourself, at least at first. And I think for the most part, especially for this generation, which I love, is you have to be very authentic and very genuine to who you are and what you love, because the next generation is really looking at you, whereas opposed to hosting back in the day, maybe, in the 90s or even the, 2000s, people could just kind of be awesome on camera and stand there and talk about anything. Well, now, the world really wants to know who you are as a person. And if they don't see your personality, they're probably not going to watch you. And so it's kind of a combination of those two things on YouTube.
But is it a personality, or is it sort of building on outrageousness? I haven't seen your show. I do apologize, but is it?
Yeah.
There are a lot of hosts that just try to be outrageous as opposed to be themselves, and I'm just curious if that's true.
Yeah, I think it's a combination, because I think both of those have an audience. And I've definitely seen that online, where it's just somebody that's, screaming at the camera, and they got an audience, and maybe that is them, who knows? But they've come up with a shtick that works, and that's how they're building their audience. So I think it's kind of a combination of the two of those or either one of those, where you just kind of have to do what you love and put it out there, and do what you think is going to work and put it out there and see what happens.
And obviously it's happened pretty well for you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
What do you recommend for building a YouTube audience?
Consistency. I would say, first and foremost, you have to be consistent. If you're going to be giving somebody anything, it's like a TV show. If we saw the first episode of Game of Thrones and then they didn't do another episode for a few years, we probably wouldn't be watching the show, even though we love it. You know, it's the same thing as the networks. They're consistent. They have every single week at the same time. And so most of the people that are really successful are putting videos out all of the time. I would have to say the second thing that you could try, and this is kind of what I did, is play up something that already exists. My channel is about video gaming, so it's about me playing video games. So it's my personality talking about games and making fun of games, which is kind of what I do. But I'm still talking about an entity that already exists and has a huge fan base. And that's kind of how I started to build my fan base, was to pick something that was already out there and then sort of make fun of it. And it just kind of blew up.
So when you talk about consistency, do you have to put up something once a week, once a month, how often do you have to?
You know, there are definitely people that put stuff up several times a week. Some do it every single day. Some do it several times a week. And some do it once a month. I think it really depends on the production quality and the production time that it takes for you to put something together. But it really is up to you. I think the going rate is every 2 weeks is a great thing. Like if you wait a month, it might be a little few and far in between. But 2 weeks is generally the number.
We've got a live chat that's going on, and Grant has a question. He's asking, so the big question is, how do you make money at this, or is it just a love of doing the project?
If we're specifically talking about YouTube, the Geekie Awards is a completely different beast because that's not a YouTube channel. But if we're specifically talking about YouTube, again, these people are constantly posting videos, and then they usually get a partnership with YouTube or a partnership with a multi-channel network or a company that helps them get as much ad revenue as possible off those ads. And so if you think about it, if somebody has been on YouTube for a few years and they post videos several times a week, all of those videos just start to accrue more views and more views and more views. And sooner or later, they're living off of that because they sort of have like this entire network on their channel on videos that are constantly getting ad money on it. So that's basically how people on YouTube make money, is ad sales. And ad sales, you can monetize anything on your channel through YouTube, Google Ads.
Are you a fan of any particular person out there who is doing something maybe similar to what you're doing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's doing anything.
No, you don't. Yeah, you want to say no, you're not. You're the best.
No. I actually am a huge fan of Kobe Turner. He's hilarious. He's probably one of the first YouTube stars I saw. He is on the outrageous side, but he's just so funny. And I remember, thinking, oh, he's really crazy, but he's just talking about video games. And, that's what I want to do. But there's so many channels out there. I can't even name all of them. The Fine Brothers are amazing. T and Peel are probably my favorite people online. And now, obviously, they went to TV. But
right.
I'd have to say that they're my ultimate, gods of online content.
Yeah, well, I love them, too. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
What are you going to be covering when you go to Comic-Con? Are you heading up a panel, or are you just participating? And if so, what's the main subject you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, I actually have a panel Saturday night at 8 p.m., crazy time slot, and it's called Spark, and I'm actually participating on it as myself. It's not for the Geekie Awards, and it's about women that are creating content and women that are creating award-winning content out there, mostly online, but some of these ladies are actresses and film directors and TV personalities as well. But it's mostly for people creating content. The panel is filled with women, but it is also for men. It's just for anyone to come and talk about, the same question that Grant had, how do I do this? How do I do this? We're really very much about show and tell and letting people in on how we became successful and how they can in turn become successful doing the same thing.
Do women have to do something different to be successful in this, or do they just need to work hard like guys do?
At the end of the day, everyone just needs to work hard. I think we are definitely, there's still some industries out there that are catching up, but I definitely think, especially in the digital world, it's pretty equal online, and it really is about, being authentic. And I've definitely never had an issue with that. I had a little bit of an issue working in corporate back in the day. But if we're talking about doing online content, I really do think it's about being unique and being authentic to yourself, and then people fall in love with you no matter who you are.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Exciting times.
It is exciting times.
Where can people go to learn more about your Comic-Con session for those that are going to the event?
Yeah, well, we are on Facebook. If you Google Spark, S-P-A-R-K, you'll probably find it, or you can find it in the Comic-Con program or online. They have all of their panels listed. I forgot what room it's in, but it is Saturday at 8 p.m. And so if you guys are there, I would definitely love to, come check it out.
Sorry,
and say hi to me.
We can't get a ticket.
I know. Sad. Well, you can come to the Geekie Awards. How about that?
Okay.
And for people like Mike who can't get a ticket to Comic-Con, where can they go on the web to learn more about you and your programs?
Absolutely. You can go to my website. It's KristenNedopak.com. But the majority of the time I'm on social media, and so Twitter is a big thing for me, at Nedopak on Twitter. And then, of course, you can go to the Geekie Awards website and Facebook and Twitter, and it's all the Geekie Awards, Geekie.
The website also is the Geekie Awards, all one word. You can see it on your screen. Kristen Nedopak is the creator and CEO of the Geekie Awards. Kristen, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Thanks for having
Kristen.
me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
You couldn't get into Comic-Con.
Would you go?
Oh,
I would. I would go in a heartbeat.
I would go. I couldn't wear a costume.
No, I wouldn't wear a costume, but I want to see the whole experience. I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it on everything else. And like I said, everybody is happy. They just feel like they belong. And it looks like a bunch of people who don't belong anywhere else. They belong only in Comic-Con.
Well, it gets back to something John said in his segment when he's talking about the fact that if you're doing an independent film, you've got to have fun.
Yeah.
Because
these people are having fun and they belong. Talk about it's a like-minded community, and a like-minded community unlike any other. And bless them for finding each other to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Comic-Cons going all over the world. I mean, there's something going on almost every week similar to what the big one is in San Diego. So it's a brave new world.
And we still can't get in.
And we can't get in.
No.
We can't get a ticket, Larry.
No, I think it's because we're too old.
We're too old. I think they cut it off at 40. It's like, you got gray hair, you can't get in. You got to be gray-haired superheroes. We need a few more of those guys.
You could wear your Star Trek uniform and you get it in a heartbeat.
I got one of those. I got a Star Trek pen at home. One of those. It's very valuable.
It is.
Yeah.
Gets you free drinks.
Somewhere in a drawer or someplace.
I want to thank our guests today, starting with John Putch, the independent filmmaker, Tom Inglesby, the editor-in-chief of Markee 2.0 magazine, and Kristen Nedopak, the creator of the Geekie Awards. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find hundreds of past shows and thousands of interviews, all searchable, all online, and all available 24/7. You can visit with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner, with additional music on the Buzz provided by smartsound.com. Transcripts by Take One Transcription. Visit takeone.tv to learn how they can help you. Our producer is Serena Catania. Our amazing engineering team is led by Megan Paulos and includes Ed Golia, Keegan Guy, Alex, Hackworth, Eileen Kim, and Brianna Murphy. On behalf of Moose Breath over there, Mike Horton, my name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to The Buzz.
Goodbye, everybody.
The Digital Production Buzz was brought to you by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988. And by Advantage Video Systems, who provide professional and integrated video and data solutions to post-production houses, broadcast facilities, as well as corporate, educational, and government institutions.